All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to the show. So glad you can come back for more in this episode 6 of movies about love. So, what do we have here? Well, I decided not to do all 6 Rocky movies because the last 3 mainly deal with Rocky's brain damage. And, from part 4, Dragov's, it was a great movie, part 4. But then part 5 with Tommy, part 6 is just a snooze slash tear fest because everybody's dead. Polly and Adrian. And then little Marie's all grown up or whatever. But it's just kind of like, it's too bitter. Not much to go over. Even part 4, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Trained to get, to win the fight against the Russians. It's mainly a political movie, pretty much. It's a great movie, though, part 4. But I didn't want to cover it because the beauty of Rocky, I strongly believe that it's perfectly captured in a bottle, lightning in a bottle with the first 3 movies. So hopefully you understand that. That's why I'm saying trilogy and not the entire series, if you will. Okay? Okay. So here we have a beautiful image of Adrian and Rocky because it is about love. It's not about the boxing. Rocky never needed to be a boxer anyways. He just happened to mess around with boxing in the beginning. What Rocky really needed was love. What Adrian really needed was love. Adrian working in a pet shop. But we'll get into it. Because, I believe the first 3 movies, they really captured the romance between a really shy Adrian and also Rocky was shy. He had some confidence, but he's developing as a man. He was developing as a man. So let's go ahead and look at Rocky Part 1. I mean, from start to finish, it's a love story. Part 1 is pretty much all you need. Because part 2 and 3 have to deal more with the boxing. It reminds me of The Matrix. Like, the first Matrix movie is all about the character. The characters and how they feel about the concept of the Matrix and such. It's not so much diving into the Matrix, all this action everywhere. So let's go ahead and get into part 1. So Rocky is a person who just wanted to be somebody. He wanted to do something special with his life. That pretty much sums up who Rocky really is, okay? He has a few friends. Now, the bad side of Rocky, unfortunately, is that he worked for a Philadelphia-based Italian loan shark. That you have to beat people up if they don't pay you what they owe. So he had to go break somebody's finger or thumb or something. He didn't want to because he's a nice guy, so he liked a little bit of problems and such. But it's an important part because he was involved in a little bit of problems there. It's important to know. And here, Rocky, he was already involved with the boxing gym. He did fight professionally on a very low level tier fighters, really, really funny names too. I can't really remember off the bat, but Mickey, his trainer, just thought they were all bums. Spider Rico. There you go. I got a little Stallone accent here, imitation. Hey, I fought Spider Rico. And Mickey was like, oh, that's a bum. So you never really respected the fighters he fought against. I mean, they would actually headbutt in the ring. It was just no class. It was just... Mickey said, you got a lot of heart, kid, but you fight like an ape. You know. So he wanted Rocky to fight with more class. Anyways, here we have Adrian working at the pet shop. And Rocky would come over and tell her some jokes, really corny jokes about like, his pet turtle. And then Butkus, this is dog in the pet shop that later on in the series he would acquire as a pet. He gets to know Adrian little by little, so really shy confrontations, you know. That's why I say Rocky was also shy. It wasn't just Adrian. Rocky just happened to be the one with a little bit more confidence, and this movie's all about love. I mean, you know, soft flirting and very realistic, very well written. Choice of words for the script, scenery, story. So here Rocky takes her to the ice skating ring. And also walking downtown together. And I think they go to the zoo. I don't know if that's in part 1 or 2. But they do go to the zoo too. And then eventually, Rocky finally makes love to Adrian. A very romantic scene. Finally takes off those geeky glasses. Makes her feel confident without the glasses. And this is what I always say, sex before marriage. You have to know what you're getting involved in. Safe sex, of course, but, you know, abstinence. Because if you don't, then you're just blindly getting married to somebody who could be a nightmare in bed. And you're going to have to live forever and ever with that? No. I know it's controversial, but plenty of ignorant, immature people are going to say, sex after marriage, I want to be pure, yada yada. Well, there's so many red flags that are going to pop up. It's such a high risk if you don't have sex before marriage. You have to really think about it. Only the wise people are going to understand what I'm talking about. It's such a stupid decision to wait. Intimacy is everything in a relationship. Intimacy is everything in a relationship. So kudos to Adrian and Rocky for having sex before marriage. Now, we're not going to go over Mickey, his trainer, that much because he's just Rocky's trainer. Just basically like a father figure to Rocky. Really great character. Great guy. A lot of experience and stories and stuff. And really cool training methods also. Like capturing a chicken. And really fun times in the movie. But we're focused on the romance. So I will share a little bit of the fighting, obviously, to tell you what, you know, the obstacles that Rocky has to go through, including Adrian, because, I mean, if you're with a boxer, you're going to suffer similar to your boyfriend. A lot of stress. So, Rocky's boxing opponents here for the trilogy, Apollo in the center, Clubber Lang on the left for the third movie. Pretty straightforward. The first two movies have to deal with Apollo in the center, his main opponent. Okay, so what do we have here? Yeah, so, you know, the whole movie builds up to the end of the end fight. I mean, what more can I tell you? Rocky trains with Mick. They do the best they can. He just wants to go the distance. I just want to go the distance, you know? It's not like I want to win the fight, but if I win, then that would be excellent too, you know? But he ends up losing to Apollo in a split decision. But the audience, they thought Rocky won the match. Because Apollo, at the end of the match, he's like, I don't want a rematch. And Apollo was just picking Rocky for some event. I think it was 4th of July event. Just to goof around and give some local underdog a shot at the title. So he didn't expect Rocky to come up with And he's a southpaw. He's a left-handed boxer, which is dangerous because they're unpredictable often. Anyways, so he does lose the fight, but guess what? He didn't lose anything because he got to fall in love with Adrian. So love is all that matters in the end, and that's why it makes it such a cool movie, Rocky Part 1. It applies to everybody's lives. You want to make something out of yourself. The males in this life, men, we have it really tough because we have to make something out of ourselves. We want a legacy to leave behind. We want to be somebody. And usually by culture, worldwide culture actually, the woman is normally the housewife, the one that's being supported so she can take care of the kids. Nowadays there's dual working families. Look, I get it. But originally it was supposed to be the man provides. The stress is on the man to provide, the money maker, the bread earner, right? So it's just, it's in our blood. We want to be providers, those of us honorable men. Dishonorable men, they'll go around saying it's 50-50, women this, women that. They always talk bad about women. They're really despicable. If you're a real man, you want to be the provider. You want to be everything to your wife. And you don't have to get married to be in love, but we already went over that. So love is all that matters, part 1. Part 2, we're going to jump into what's going on, what happened after, what's the aftermath like, right, after the match. Well, it's a story of struggling to make ends meet as a couple, now that Adrian is together with Rocky. Rocky's working odd jobs, like at a meat place at one point, before realizing that fighting is all he knows. There's this one scene where he goes to some office recruiting job and he's like, well, I'd like a job like you got, in an office, And then the guy's like, well, you're not really qualified. I read somewhere you're a great fighter. Why not, why not go back to fighting? And he says, well, it kind of hurts, So, it's amazing because the guy that works the desk job, he has no idea what it's like to be a fighter. And Rocky, he's like, come on, guy. I'm trying to settle down, have a kid, marriage. I don't want to get my head caved in. Rocky's words, literally. Anyway, so he proposes to Adrian in the zoo, and in front of a tiger, which is symbolic of the third movie, by the way. And it's a really cute scene because when he asked Adrian to marry him, she couldn't really hear him because of the big earmuffs. So he kind of lifts them up and says, if you wouldn't mind marrying me too much. So she says yes. Really, really cute scene. And then also how to drive, so he gets this 1979 Pontiac Firebird. And it's kind of funny seeing him drive around and bump into things like trash cans and such. But, when he's got all this winning prize money, right? So let's see what happens here. He buys an expensive car, barely knowing how to drive, bumping into things. His eyesight is really bad. Especially after the match, he got some eye damage. Then he does a commercial to try to make some money, but he can't read the cue card. So he has a reading, he's illiterate to a certain extent. He can barely read the cue cards, so they make fun of him. So he needs to learn how to read. And I remember this scene, he was with an aftershave commercial. He's like, when I put it on. So here's a cute scene here when Adrian is pregnant and in the hospital because she got hurt working at the pet shop lifting things, and I don't know if it's a hernia or whatever, but poor girl. And but Rocky buys an expensive apartment, by the way. So when Rocky buys the expensive apartment, it adds more pressure to the relationship. There's a lot of relationships just barely making ends meet, so it's kind of a sad sequel, Rocky Part 2. So Adrian's at the hospital and she's in some type of coma, so he's reading to her, doing his best to improve his reading skills and just spending so much time with her when he should be training for the rematch. But, your heart goes above everything. But here's a rematch. Not to skip too far forward, but Rocky finally beats Apollo, but barely, because they both fall down in the end. Rocky just happens to get back up. But, regardless, Rocky finally wins the title belt. And that's success. Success is so important in life. I mean, it's all about legacy. Second to love, of course. Love is always going to be the priority. Love is forever the priority. So, we're going to swiftly move into Rocky 3. That's right, folks. I mean, not really going fast here. It's just, as far as love is concerned, the main highlights. Rocky 3 is, in my opinion, the best in the entire series, even with the 6 movies total. We have action, life struggles, rich and famous theme, winning and losing. Intense action, man. So here, Rocky does a dangerous charity event fight with Hulk Hogan. It's an amazing scene that's funny and nerve-wracking at the same time. It's absolutely stunning, and I think he got hurt in real life making this scene. Sylvester Stallone. All right, so part 3 is all about Clubber Lang. He's in the far left, Mr. T. The scariest man, in my opinion. Maybe Dragunov or Drago is from part 4. The Russian is second to Clubber. I thought Clubber is more vicious. Obviously, they make the Russian look like a machine, far more dangerous. But I mean, it's mainly just special effects. But Mr. T really pulls it off. Like, he looks like he'll kill you in the ring. And unfortunately, Rocky rushes into the fight after Mick has a heart attack. Because Clubber, he talks a lot of trash. So he gave Mick a heart attack in the locker room before this fight. And that really psychologically hurt Rocky's confidence level. So he made the mistake of having the fight anyways. It was a rushed fight. He was nowhere. I mean, because he has no Mick by his side, so he can't even coach him through the fight. Of course he's going to lose. It really sucks because he has the golden gloves and everything. He's a champ, but hey, he's a new champ, so you're going to have to learn the hard way, right? Now, before Rocky lost, I mean, because he was taking things way too easily. I mean, they purposely gave him easy fights, and here he is flirting around with some girls, kissing him on the cheek in front of Adrian, because she was there watching. I mean, that brings up a part like jealousy in the couple. That's a no-no. You don't do that stuff. That's garbage, man. I mean, I wouldn't want to see my soulmate being kissed by, guys on her cheek and while she's training for some event or whatever. So it's respect. I wanted to point this out because this was a lack of respect. Just because you have fame and fortune now doesn't mean you get to disrespect your girl like that. And you can't blame the girls because you said yes. You should have said no to them. Anyways, very interesting part of that movie. Now here, Clubber Lang is insulting Rocky when he was giving a speech after the statue was presented. Just appreciating Rocky's win and everything as a champion. So he comes out and he says, you haven't challenged a real fighter like me. Then he insults Adrian by saying, I bet you never been with a real man. I'll show you what a real man is. And that's what really tipped Rocky overboard. So he says, okay, I accept your damn challenge. Mickey didn't want that. He says, no, you're a champion. Just say no to him, He wants to nip up your heels, and Mickey knew that he was going to lose the fight because he just wasn't ready for it. They gave him so many easy fights in a row. Anyway, so Apollo tries to resurrect Rocky because after he lost the fight, and Mick died. He died, by the way. So it's like Clubber killed him, in a way. So Apollo tries to train Rocky, but Rocky gives up. It's a really low point in the movie. Probably the saddest part of the whole series of Rocky movies. He lost it. He lost the eye of the tiger. The theme music played by the survivors. But he gets back up on his feet because Adrian herself gives him a great motivational speech right there in this beach that they're training at. And Apollo succeeds in training Rocky. It's so awesome. He trains him where he was training back in the hood. So there's lots of hugs and laughter, and I just love it. Apollo and Rocky go so great. And Carl Weathers recently passed away, so rest in peace. Such a great actor. The dude on the right here, obviously. He also played in the movie Predator with Arnold, and really, really cool. He was always a cool dude to see on screen. So, yeah, so they're ready for the fight. And here's the fight. So Rocky defeats Clubber Lang, like, easily. I mean, he takes a few punches, but Apollo really trained the heck out of him, man. I mean, that incredible training sequences in part 3. And I mean, just look at him. Look at Sly. I mean, he's like the best I think he made Rambo 3 around this time, if I'm not mistaken, because he was absolutely shredded. I think he was taking about 25 cups of caffeine or something, coffee. Like, it was just insane. I mean, he could have died with so much insane training back then. Like, real life training, by the way. We're not talking movies here. Anyways, so, fun fact. When I was about 14 years old, I called a radio station and I requested Eye of the Tiger. Really fun times because they actually played the song Eye of the Tiger, and people were like, people called in later like, who requested Eye of the Tiger? That was awesome. That was me. So when I was 14 years old, calling a radio station requesting Eye of the Tiger, it was because of this movie. It's just that motivating. You kind of fall in love with the theme. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Let me go ahead and check the chat. It's a really cool first 3 movies about love, in my opinion. Alright, nothing in the chat, I don't think. Well, let me go ahead and refresh here. Yeah, okay, we're good to go. So, hope you guys enjoyed this show. And we got a lot more variety coming your way. And let's get back to work for another week ahead. And don't stress too much, okay? Because stress kills. And I'm here for anybody who has any questions. So, enjoy and take care.